I just listened to so many AI generated podcasts that I want to crawl into a hole and not return for a very long time. But I did it for you. I did it for you. Well, also for me. And I want to go through some things that I've learned after listening to so many Google NotebookLM podcasts. Let's chat about that. First up, let's go back to the beginning. So I did a video and a podcast episode where I tried NotebookLM for the first time and got really giddy and excited about the fact that these two fake people were talking about something that I wrote. And it was really cute and fun and silly to then listen to them bantering about some real things that I knew about. I thought it was a pretty cool tool. I still think it's a pretty cool tool, but things are getting out of hand. If we then have a look at NotebookLM and the amount of actual fake AI podcasts there are now on the podcast platforms for you to listen to, it's 1,466 at time of recording. That's how many fake podcasts there are out there using NotebookLM. Why do I know that? Because Listen Notes did something about it. They created this detector that you could actually then use to find out whether a podcast was AI generated. They reached out to Google NotebookLM and they said, hey dudes, this is pretty bollocks. Could you please make it easy for us to be able to detect AI podcasts so that they're not being flooded on the Listen Notes platform? And essentially Google was like, soz, not doing anything about that. And I mean, I love Google. I have Google up the wazoo as far as how I run my business. But yeah, they're not going to spend the time and energy on that at this point in time. So 1,466 fake podcasts is a pretty big deal. And I listened to a huge amount of them so that I could understand, firstly, whether any of them were any good, whether I should be worried as a podcast producer, an editor, and podcast creator, whether there is use in the tool. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I found after listening to so many of them. First thing I found, I hate deep dive. I hate the words deep dive. I've heard deep dive so many times now because every single one of these NotebookLM podcasts that I've listened to, they are just deep diving up the wazoo.
Hey, get ready for a new deep dive. Are you ready for this deep dive? Ooh, I've got a dive for you. Get ready to deep dive into the deep dive pool.
Oh my God, I hate it. They just need some other words. There needs to be other words that aren't deep dive. Some of the podcast names are, in fact, deep dive as well. Anyway, so I hate it. The words they're using are not that interesting. They have a certain number of words that they've, I guess, been trained on, and that's the ones that they like to use. So yeah, hate that one. There's a lot of banter, okay? They've obviously worked really hard in creating banter between two hosts, which again, I was really impressed with. Like, man, they've got interjection, they've got laughter, the banter is pretty flippin' good. They say, makes sense? That's interesting. I like that. I love that. Ooh, exactly. I'm intrigued. All of them. All of the podcasts say those things all the time. And you're probably sitting there thinking like, well, look, I'm not sitting there listening to 250 or so podcasts that are all AI generated. I might just listen to one so it doesn't bother me so much. And I mean, I guess you have a point. All I'm saying is that if there's 1,466 and growing AI generated podcasts and they're all using the same words and they're all using the same inflection, it's going to get pretty flooded pretty soon, full of content that is just the same delivery. At time of recording as well, there is only two hosts. There are only two voices. You can't choose them. You can't customize. You can't use your own voice. I know NotebookLM is actually working on you being allowed to
customize and
choose other voices.
That's coming, and I guess that will make it a little bit better so that it sounds less templated. It sounds less the same as any other AI generated podcast. But yeah, right now it's just a lot of the same. The other thing I really don't like about them, and this is kind of why I'm not worried about it taking over podcasting and everyone just going, oh, well, I'll just listen to this AI version of the news instead of the real people delivering the news. There is absolutely no relationship between the two hosts. You can't really establish that you like either of them. They don't have any actual personalities. They've been given a tone that they need to talk in, but you don't feel like you can get to know them. And they don't have insightful thought. They don't come in with little stories from their real life because they don't have a real life. They just spout information at you in the same format that they do for any other podcast. So as I was listening to them, I started to go, at what point would I just not listen to this podcast anymore? Maybe I'd listen to a couple of episodes if I felt like the information they were giving was really good and I needed it to be distilled down. But at a certain point, it's just like, what am I listening to you for? It's boring. It's kind of interesting. They've made it engaging, but it's still boring because at the heart of podcasting, there is still storytelling, and they're not really telling stories about anything that is actually real, from their own lives. That was my first point where I was like, yeah, this is not something I'm actually worried about, not at this point in time, because at the heart of it, the medium exists for people to feel connected to other people. Not every genre, some of them are a lot more just give me the facts, but the bulk of people come to podcasts to learn something and connect with the hosts or with other people in the community that are also listening to it. And there's got to be an element that is bringing everything together, and that's normally the person that is delivering the information. Like me right now, I hope you're connecting with me because I am a person that's got real emotions and feelings, and I can express myself and my own stories and my own thoughts. So AI NotebookLM, it does not do that because it can't do that. In fact, I found it kind of funny. There was quite a few instances where they would go everyone's craving a bit of authenticity. And I'm like, you are an AI. You're not authentic at all. You're a robot. And that was kind of funny. And then they'd say things like, yes, the classic workplace conundrum. They've never been in a workplace. They've never had this conundrum. They can't relate. There's so many situations and things in these podcast episodes where they chime in oh yeah, I've had that problem. No, you haven't. You haven't had this problem because you're not real. You're not a real thing. You can't have had this situation. I don't believe you. And as soon as I don't believe you, I don't trust you. Quite a few of the podcasts were talking about AI and the rise of AI. And I found it funny when the podcast would be like, you should use AI. And that's why AI is a really good idea. And they're also AI. It's like mind control through AI, getting you to use more AI. We use AI every day in our business here at Bamby Media, but you won't see me creating AI podcasts anytime soon. The other thing that I heard was, I've definitely procrastinated a time or two myself. No, you didn't. Your whole deal is you don't procrastinate, is that you're super productive because you're a robot. I thought that one was particularly funny because it doesn't make sense. Anyway, you can probably tell I'm a bit batty after listening to so much of this NotebookLM content, but I did want to showcase a few that I thought, just little things that they said that I was just like, what are you even doing? Oh my God, they've obviously been trained to be relatable, but they can't be relatable at their core because, they're robots. What I would like to see is the AI owning that they're AI. I don't know how you could work that into the model. Instead of being like, yes, I've had that problem, or yeah, flipping workplaces, huh? They suck. I know I've been in so many of them. Instead of doing that, it would be really good if they were like, well, yeah, I can't relate because I'm a robot and I don't exist. It would be funnier, and I think I would listen to more of it if they just owned up to the fact that they weren't real. That would make for an interesting podcast. I think I would actually enjoy listening to something like that, where they're kind of making fun of the fact that they are also AI and they can't really give you any relatable content because they can't relate to basically anything other than zeros and ones. I don't know whether that's how you actually create AI models using zeros and ones. Probably not, but you get my gist, okay? I'm thinking of Bender from Futurama. That's as far as my knowledge of robots goes. So look, that's all I really wanted to discuss today. I just wanted to kind of shed some light on the actual amount, like the sheer volume of fake podcasts that are now entering the market because of Google's NotebookLM. I'm not mad about it. I understand that there's going to be new tools all the time. They're going to be widely adopted. Whether this becomes a flop or not remains to be seen. But as far as what I've listened to from the sheer amount that I've gone through, they're not relatable. They're not funny. They're not interesting. A lot of these podcasts, in fact, most of them, I would say 99% of them, don't have any theme music, don't have any significant branding, don't have any way for you to be remembering them later. They just feel like a bunch of bots. I would love to know, if you listen to an AI podcast, why do you listen to it? Is it good? And can you send me a link to it? Because I would love to listen to it. Put it in the comments and let me know why you think it's good. At this point in time, I can see it disrupting. I can see something cool coming out of this experiment, but a bunch of AI fake podcasts is not something that I think is going to be continuing. A lot of these, in fact, had a very small amount of episodes, 3, 5, 8 episodes, and they haven't released in over a month, and people were just trying it out, and then it's just finished. Again, not something I'm super concerned with. I don't love it. I thought it'd be fun to have a listen to them and give my honest feedback on these. And the day that an AI owns up to the fact that it's AI and gives me a podcast that is funny because it's AI, that will be worth listening to.